We're live.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
You're watching Tanner's Haunted Secrets
On the Outline Network. What they say.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's a secret sound heading deep within the center of the earth. Until you listen closely enough, you can hear it. And it sounds like razors through flesh. We are merely here to turn up the volume.
Hello, 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 and welcome to our corner of this wonderful freak show. You're watching Tanner's Haunted Secrets on the Elliott Network. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait because we have a wonderful guest, and he's right below me here on this wonderful screen here. But we have Friday, we have Raz joining us, and we have Vic. I'm gonna mess that up every single time.
I'm a Vic.
Yep, because I almost said a mosquito every single time.
I've never heard that before.
It just rings in my ADHD bed or head. But
oh, good man.
We got Vic, and Vic is the owner of Blood Prison, and man, that is a haunt that I still have not been able to make it out to, but it's in the historical Ohio Reformatory, which is a wonderful place to go visit year-round. But, Vic, I do have one question to start off.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to rebuild that every single year? Your haunt?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, yes. The cell block area is because it's a tourist destination, so it's not a full-time, or just a haunted attraction entity. So it does guided tours and ghost hunting. Like even right now, they're doing a ghost walk right now as we speak. And there's also other events that, they do here as well, like smaller events, other bigger events like incarceration and the Shawshank 30th is coming up. So you can't leave everything up. Now, we do have two areas that we get to leave up all year long and kind of tweak as we go. But like the big areas, yeah, that's all gets tore down and thrown in semi-trailers.
That's incredible because I'll tell you what, some home haunters have problems tearing their stuff down and hiding all their stuff away. And yours is a pretty nice size haunt. And yeah. I just cannot imagine that just going in semi-trailers and the way that you put everything together. Once again, I have not been there, but it is on my to-do list this year, and I can't get away from it. It's going to happen this year for me.
There you go. I mean, it's interesting. It makes for a very interesting, busy, hectic September because the schedule allows us maybe like 3.5 weeks to get everything like built. So we gotta build it. When we build the stuff, when we are making the things to put in the cell blocks, everything's got to be built to be easily torn down and lightweight, but yet, sturdy, solid, and can, hold its own weight. So it's tricky, but we manage to pull it off every year.
I'll tell you that's incredible. You guys have to put so much thought into everything you guys do, not just for making it safe, but not just making it sturdy, but being able to. Is it done with a whole bunch of pins, or do you actually attach everything nice and firmly?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's done, like, for instance, when we build a church every year, that is screwed together like a normal building. Okay. Like with, drywall screws or whatnot. But the walls and things of that nature are, everything's made light with Luan and, not 2x4s, but like 1x, because it's all panels, you know what I mean? So, right. But it all screws together like kind of a normal house, but it's just not built. It's all faux. So it's made to come down easy and, store easy, but it's got to be lightweight, because we can't tear a whole church down. It would just destroy us, and it practically does already. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a fun September. Every fall is always fun.
And I think Friday's got something right off the bat, which that's exciting because usually Friday doesn't ask things.
Okay.
We have a local prison haunt, and I haven't been able to talk to my local haunters, but you have a similar one. Well, as in you guys haunting in prison, is it easier to haunt in prisons compared to other haunts you have been to or worked on or with?
Is it easier to haunt there?
Yes, like building wise, structural wise.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think so. And I only say that because the building itself is amazing and beautiful, and it's a Gothic just masterpiece. And that helps, because we're not like in a strip mall. You know what I mean? Our location is cool, so when the venue's good, that definitely helps. But when you're kind of historical like we are, there's a lot of parameters we got to follow when we build. We can't just Tapcon things to the floor. You know what I mean? Because the floor's, it's made of like granite or, what am I thinking? Like the big slabs of like,
right.
I mean, it's like, stuff that they don't want damaged anymore. Cause I mean, the building is, old and it's run down and everything, but there's parameters we got to follow when it comes to building. So it's not as easy to haunt here because of all the parameters and guidelines that we got to follow just to build things. Now, like on the haunt end of it, as far as like acting and things of that nature, I would say it's as easy here as anywhere else. But on that end of it, as far as like the building stuff, yeah, it can be a challenge.
I know. When we went through for Ohio Haunters Association meeting, it's just absolutely such a beautiful place. And the one thing is, I've heard it time after time, no one needs to go into a cell, and do not shut the doors because they don't have the keys for them, and they actually have to call a locksmith that travels from Columbus, I do think.
Yeah, but that's true.
So years ago, you guys all came with the OHA and was able to make a convention, which was really interesting to have vendors that were in these historical cells. And that was the first time I ever went to Blood Prison. And that was one of the coolest things. I know they attempted it the second year, but this nasty thing came across the seas and destroyed a lot of things. And COVID actually took it out of the play. But that was the first experience with that place. So I got to know, how did you get started into haunting?
Like all together, like in general, or just here?
Yeah. What started you into this industry?
Well, so what happened was I worked for a guy named Robert Kurtzman. He's a special effects guy, movie guy. He's there's a special effects shop out in California called K&B Effects. And he's the K of K&B. So they're a big effects company. They've won Oscars for Chronicles of Narnia. They've done all the big movies, like all of Quentin Tarantino's movies, stuff like that. So they're pretty known. Robert Kurtzman actually wrote the original story from Dusk Till Dawn. So he's got some, I worked for him and, working in that industry, and he's known for his horror genre and everything. We just did effects and everything like that, special effects and things of that nature. Well, eventually, after a while, we started vending at Transworld. We started making props for haunted attractions, and we started making masks, the foam latex masks. We marketed it as easier to wear because they're lighter. Because they're made of foam latex, not latex, but foam latex. It's a stretchy material, and they had spandex liners in them, so they're not real heavy like a silicone mask. So we started going to Transworld, and that's kind of when aside from going to haunted attractions, all growing up and everything, getting into the business, that was kind of my first step, was being a vendor at Transworld and meeting all the other haunt owners, not only from Ohio but from all over the world, really. Because that's the early days of it really becoming global. But yeah, and I got to go to a couple different haunted attractions while I was there and see kind of the bigger versions. And eventually we opened our own in Crestline, Ohio, called the Mad Effects Lab. And when we opened that one, it was over. I mean, when the first time we did that first night working that, I was hooked. I was just like, this is so much fun. I mean, I am having such a good time doing this, and just because I'm a somewhat of a people person. I like to, hang out and, have a good time with people. And that's what the haunted attraction was. We just had so much fun, with all the actors and the crew. It was just a good time, and I looked forward to it so much every weekend. So I knew it was kind of a calling for me, and I had to get more involved, and I did.
Which, you know what? I love this industry so much that everybody tells me, dude, take a break and shut up. Just because all I want to do is talk about it. All I want to do is go on, see what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the beautiful things is this industry absolutely loves talking about everything they do and how they do it.
Yeah, for sure. And everybody's got a different way, you know what I mean? Everybody does things differently, and it's all, for the most part, it's, all good, and fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So diving back into Blood Prison, because I'll tell you, there's so much about this, and I was so excited to find out that you actually have to take it apart to put it back together. How much do you actually change when you're putting it back together?
So what we try to do is we try to alternate it. Like, so last year we did a lot of changing. So like, for instance, in the East Cell block, what we did was, to make things easy, what we would do is, like, for instance, we want to keep it as prison themed as possible. Okay. So if we have a prison hospital, prison chapel. So you got an infirmary, and a prison chapel, blood prison infirmary, whatever you want to call it. We would build a facade in the East Cell block, and it would be just a facade of a hospital front or a church front or something like that. And then behind the facade, we would just, lay out the path of what we were doing. Like, different hospital props, different church, the pews and everything like that. And last year we decided, well, let's just build it. So we built a church, right? A big church, and it was a building basically with a roof, a ceiling, and the front facade and the back. And we just, the pews in it. We had at the end of it, a big, landing for the preacher, and 2 doors out. One's heaven, one's hell. And the preacher decides where you get to go and all that good stuff. And that was a build. And then we did the same thing for the hospital. So we built 2 buildings inside of this building last year. That was our big changes. Now that was probably some of the biggest changes we've done. But when it comes to the stuff that we have to set back up, what we try to do is add more rather than like change the scene so much, because it's really hard to do when you're set up teardown. We just add more and more and more to it. Last year was the first year we really just said, you know what, let's just do a whole change of it. And we did it. But normally, like in our apocalyptic area, it started with a kind of like a crashed airplane and some cars. Well, now we've got a crashed airplane, we've got some cars, we've got 2 tanks, we've got a shipping container that's dropped in from the military with this giant parachute hanging off of it. We've got a helicopter crash. So it's like we just keep adding more and more to it rather than changing everything, because it's just not feasible.
You make me just want to go run up there right now, even though I know it's not set up.
No, not right now.
Well,
but I mean,
you said they're doing a ghost tour, so maybe that would be a good thing too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. I've been out there for that. Is absolutely amazing.
We did a blood prison ghost hunt recent. Well, that was not recent. I want to say it was early April, maybe late March, early April. Like every year we get to do our own ghost hunt, and OSR will like have their ghost hunting people come in and put on a ghost hunt for us and everything. And then this year was just, I mean, if you're into the paranormal stuff, it was off the hook. I mean, it was like, and I'm not huge into the paranormal, like ghost hunting and stuff. I mean, it's cool and I've done it, but like this year was like, wow, it was really active. And a lot of weird, unexplainable things that I don't normally get even here,
Right. So, I'm going to put up a picture, and I know this is one of the pictures that you sent me, but as I go through this picture here, I got to scroll here.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, yeah.
So not only do you get to see this wonderful Vic guy here, you also get to see some of the actual prison that this stuff falls. It looks like it's falling down. And who do you have with you?
That is Zach Wild from Black Label Society.
Okay.
That year was 2018. And along with being, a horror and Halloween haunted house guy, I'm a music guy. I'm a big metalhead, and that's the guitar player. He played guitar for Ozzy Osbourne, of course, for many years, and he's currently in the Pantera Celebration lineup. And that was during incarceration, and I got lucky enough to meet him and hang out with him in the West Cell block and have a conversation with him. He's a super nice guy, and he's cool. It was cool. It was a cool experience. He almost punched me in the face. It was great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to get punched in the face by anyone, like that's who you want to punch you in the face, just straight up.
Right.
Man.
I was just like, go for it, I mean, it was all like, we were talking and he like, did this punch in the face thing where he was like, I don't want to get into what we were talking about because it was wild. No pun intended there, but it was, it was interesting, and he caught some people off guard by what he was saying, and I was loving it. It was fun. That was a cool day.
So Friday's got a question for you here.
Okay.
Do you have any paranormal experiences that stand out while you were doing the hunt?
Well, while the haunt is going on, not really. But I do have some paranormal experiences, a few, probably 2 that stand out. Well, actually now 3 since that ghost hunt. Yeah, I would say 3. So the first one that I had was, the cool thing about these is that I have witnesses. So it's not just me saying this actually happened.
Right.
So the first one, we were in solitary confinement, which is a very well-known area for activity. And we were, so between solitary is just basically a mini cell block. So there's cells, like there's a wall and then the aisleway and then, cells, and then you go around the cells. So the cells are in the middle. Well, between the cells and the middle is like an alleyway where like all your electrical, plumbing, and all that stuff goes that feeds into the cells. Okay. So we were looking down the cell block, the cell alleyway, because we were putting in airlines and stuff, and we were just trying to figure out what we were going to do, basically. And once we got that figured out and we were done, we were like, all right, is that it? Yeah, we're good. All right. So there was a light outside where we were, and I was like, let's go. And I hit the light switch, turned the light off, and we walked. I took about maybe 4 or 5 steps, and the light just turned back on. And we just kind of stopped dead in our tracks, and we turned around. It was me and my friend Tony. And I turned around, and I was just like, what the hell was that? And he just was like, ghost, man, a damn ghost. And I'm just like, dude, that's wild. And we turned the light back off, and we left. And, so I had a witness on that one. The light just turned back on by itself. Now, can I explain that? Not really, because I was the one that turned the light off. So that was one that sticks out. And then I was showing the guys from incarceration around, again, solitary confinement. And there's a part of solitary where a guard was murdered by an inmate riot that broke out in solitary. And it's like right when you walk in, if you go to the right, there's like this curved wall, and that's where they killed him. And well, I was pointing that out is what I was doing. So I was telling this guy, his name was Mike. I was like, so right here is where a guard was actually murdered. And right when I said that, something fell from the ceiling. Like we attributed it to a piece of plaster or, chunk of maybe, I don't know, plaster or brick, the stuff that goes yeah, you know what I mean? So it fell and hit, and we jumped back. We're like, whoa. And then because it just caught us off guard, we just laughed and walked away. Well, I came back a couple hours later because I wanted to see where that came from. I was like, so I, and I swear, I mean, it was, it seemed like a chunk at least that big. I go back there. There's nothing on the floor, like where it hit and broke up. There's nothing there. There's no chunk out of the wall. The ceiling's not even plaster because the floor in there is concrete and steel. So the bottom part of the floor is a steel plate. So the floor is steel, and then there's this big brick wall, and there's like nothing coming out of the brick, and there's no remnants of anything falling and hitting the floor. So that was another one that it was just like, that was just kind of weird because you would think a big chunk you would see where it came from. And to this day, if I walk back there, I always look, but there's nothing there.
Always something in that prison, I swear.
Yeah. But I've never seen I've never seen an apparition or anything like that.
So I'm going to go back into these wonderful photos because, I gotta figure out. So I know that some of this is your crew members.
Yeah.
Is the guy with the tattoos, is he part of your crew members?
The guy pointing?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. That
is Phil Anselmo. He is the singer of Pantera.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be serious when it comes down to people. I love their music, but I can't tell you who was in anything. I can't even tell you where Justin Timberlake came from.
Well,
if it makes you feel better, I've known all these people. I remember back when I used to work at Harrowing and Pantera was the house band. I was their bitch so many shows. And every time I would like run and get them something, I would get like a set of string, like a brand new set of strings they had extra in the back, picks, you name it, man.
That's awesome. That would be awesome to work for them.
It was amazing.
Well, this is at Incarceration last year. This is last July. And we got Phil used to own a haunted attraction in New Orleans called House of Shock. So when he heard that we were running, he was all about it. So he wanted to come in and check it out. And I was, being an avid Pantera fan, they're, my favorite band. Because I grew up when it was the original Pantera, back, I graduated in 1995. So I was around for those glory years of Dimebag and Rex and Vince and Phil.
I miss Dimebag so much, man.
Oh man. And we would go like whenever they'd roll, like the Hair Arena in Dayton you're talking about, right?
Oh, yep. My whole family worked there for like literally decades, dude. Every wrestling thing you can imagine, every band, but Pantera was always my favorite time to work.
We went and saw Pantera there. It was Morbid Angel, Soulfly, and Pantera. And
I remember that show.
It was real snow. It snowed like crazy. I think it was a February show. Yep. But it was just an amazing show. And I was just extremely drunk and stoned the whole time. So I mean, I don't have complete memories of everything about it, but it was just a blast, and that was fun because I was actively trying to get him to come in because again, it's my favorite band, and at Inc. I get pretty much all access, so I can go backstage and stuff like that. But I wanted Phil to come in the haunt, so I met the head of security for Incarceration, and I just kind of started bullshitting with him because Corey Taylor from Slipknot did this. It was through this thing called Fandium, where he did this promotion where it's like you get to go through Blood Prison with me. And, whoever makes the biggest donation to this charity, to Corey Taylor Foundation, will get to go through Blood Prison. Not only do you get to go through Blood Prison with Corey Taylor, but you got tickets to Inc., you got hotel and flights. He flew you up, wow. So it was this whole big promotion thing, and we were a part of it. And so when I was like, when they approached me with it, I was like, yes, absolutely. So I was actively trying to get Phil. I was like, I know he would want to do it. So let's make sure. So I was trying to use my inroads the best I could. And I had said something to the head of security, a guy named Brandon, who was just a super cool guy. And we had to do all this pre-show. Security had to go through the haunted attraction and just check it out and make sure that, they knew what the layout was. They knew where like maybe potential hiding spots were. If a crazy fan decided to try and hide and wait for Corey Taylor to come through, you know what I mean? Which, whatever. So he did all that, and I was just kind of bullshitting with him, and it was just like, all right, well, yeah, man. I was, just kind of nonchalantly just like, yeah, any other headliners want to come through? I know Phil used to do haunted attractions. It might be kind of cool. He's like, yeah, that's true. I'll say, I know his head of security, so I'll talk to him. And I was like, sweet. So I was just like, this is going to be cool, So I'm hoping this happens. Well, it was already set in motion because the person, Zach Wild, I don't know who she is. I think it's his tour manager. She had been at Inc. the year before with Black Label, and she came through Blood Prison, because she just came in and went through it. And when they got on the Pantera tour, she told Phil, she's like, hey, there's this haunted house at this place. And he was like, yep, I'm going. So he had already planned on going anyways. So I'm sitting there out just trying to make this happen, and he was already going to come. So it was just kind of funny how it worked out. But I got to have a really cool conversation with him. He told me a ton about what he likes, and he knew all the props. When he came back out, he was telling me, like, the fat guy on the table that was all blown out, that's Ghost Ride, right? And I was like, yeah, that's Ghost Ride. He knew what everything was, and he was like, poison props. I know that poison props. He's a big distortions guy. He loves distortions. He loves their props.
Well, that's awesome. I'll tell you. How much of your haunt is actually put back together for that music festival?
So for the festival, there's two areas. We have the big house up top. It's like, we call it the widow's quarters. It's just basically a house. Okay. It's got, you just go through it, which we've rethemed a good portion of it this year. So we do that section, and then we do our basement section. So those are the two areas that we get to keep. Oh, and solitary confinement. So technically we have 3 sections that we do during incarceration: solitary, house, and basement. The cell blocks, we can't put that up for a 3-day event. It'd take too much time and it wouldn't, but the other sections that we get to keep up, that's what we run during Inc.
I knew you guys ran. I just didn't know how much you guys had to put back together or what you guys could have in place. And you know what? It blows my mind, seriously. When my haunt is outdoors, we go and we have to put stuff in a building sometimes, but most of the stuff that it just stays in place and we have nice cover. You guys actually have a cover, but you guys can't have it and keep it there.
Yeah. And it's great, let me tell you.
So for everybody that's never seen this place, this is a picture of the Ohio Reformatory. And this place is absolutely amazing. There is just so much architectural to it. There is so much everything to it. And honestly, if you guys have never been to this place, going through the haunt or just going through this, they actually do tours. And what is it like every single day, or I don't know if you know.
Yeah, so they do tours. It is 7 days a week now. Once you hit I want to say April 1st. I think it's April 1st is when they start going 7. So April through August is 7 days a week. And then after that, it's just like Thursday through Sundays. Because the winter time is, it gets frigidly cold in here. I mean, if it's 20 degrees outside, it's 10 degrees in the building. It's one of those situations.
So you just brought something up, and I'm going to ask, are you actually in the reformatory right now?
I am, yes, because I actually just did a podcast. I did a shakedown right before I got with you guys. So we were all hanging out, and they're like, and my one girl that works for me, she's like, "Hey, don't you got that thing at 9?" It's like, "Oh shit, what time is it?" She's like, 8:30. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm good." So yeah, I was already here, so I just figured, why go home? I'll just stay here.
Now you told me about the shakedown, and I was like, man, you're like really pushing yourself to get everything done in one day.
Yeah.
Talk about your shakedown, because I'll tell you what, it's nice to hear other podcasters' stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a radio guy. Like back in the day when I was a young man, I worked in radio. I can't play instruments or sing or anything like that. So I love music, and I was like, I want to be around it. So I got into radio, and I got into radio thinking it would be great. And, I learned quick that it's not really about the music in radio. The music is, it is if you're a listener, but if you're, when you're in the studio and you're working it, it's not really about that. So it's about advertising, which I'm really anti, you know what I mean? I'm really anti-establishment, and, I don't like all that shit. And I think a lot of it's just, very hard to deal with because corporate advertising and, that's just a whole nother subject. But that's why I got into radio, for the music. And once that all fizzled away and I got into this gig, the opportunity came up to build a studio and do a podcast where it was like, just not radio, but like something where I could just kind of bullshit with people who, just want to talk shop. You know what I mean? And that's what I like to do. I just like, again, I love hanging out with people and, having a few drinks or just chilling, you know what I mean? And that's all I wanted. I'm not trying to, be Joe Rogan or anything like that and get 9 million followers. I just like to help other haunted attractions and bring actors in and techs and anybody in the haunt world and just sit and bullshit with them and be like, tell me your experiences, tell me what you've done, and let's just have a good conversation about it. And it's just a fun thing for me. It's really a fun thing because it just kind of takes me back to my radio roots a little bit. And it's just, it's just a good time. And that's really the main thing with it. And I do it at my own leisure, so it's like, I don't, I got to do one every 2 weeks or every week. I just like, when I get someone, and let the chips fall where they may, if you will.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I like being on them too.
Raz, I know that this is one of your subjects. I know you're muted, buddy.
Damn it! I don't know how we've never met before, dude. I've been working in horror films since '99. Haunts. I'm going on my 30th year at Haunt. A lot of the same musics. Apparently, we've been at least one show at the same time. But also, I come from a complete radio background. My first degree was actually in radio and television broadcasting and production over at the International College of Broadcasting.
There you go.
I worked for J-Core, Clear Channel, you name it. And after I got out of radio, because the shitty part about radio, if you guys at home don't know, if you really want to make it your job for a living and like really make it, you got to move to a new and bigger market. Frequently enough, because also for insurance, if they even offer insurance, which most of the time, sometimes they don't. It's a lot. And when things went digital, the whole fucking game just no more feeds. Like everything changed so much, and I just gave up. And then my brother was like, "Hey, man, we live in different states now, and there's this new thing called podcasting." And this was like over a decade ago. And I ended up running a network with him for like 7 years. I got out of it. I was like, I'm done with this shit. And these guys, about almost exactly a year ago, we all started doing this network. And every time I come back to it, it's that same feel. It's you're on the radio, but I think podcasting is actually better than radio some days, because I like all the music. I miss playing the music, but at the same time, it's the conversations, the comedy skits, like the fun stuff that I think is what kept me in radio for so long.
Yeah, I like the production of it, like doing the production value of certain things. That's what I enjoyed a lot, and I really wanted to continue to do that. Like when someone would come, like just a 30-second commercial voiceover, that's one thing. But like when someone comes to you and's like, I want this spot, it's 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and I need all this crazy shit and haunted attractions. Those were fun spots to make.
They're my favorite still.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I was like, it was fun, and it was like the production work, and that was the cool thing about the digital stuff. Because like I was on the edge of, I was on that line of, I was just getting into it right when they were stopping, cutting reels and doing.
That's right around the same time I was coming out of college for it. Yep. And
I came into the Cool Edit Pro era.
Oh yeah,
like this is so much easier. You know what I mean? So we would do that, and it was fun, and just making these commercials and throwing and making like liners. You know what I mean? For your in between song liners and stuff like that, using the sound effects. Love doing that stuff.
So this is why I do all of our video production and edit all of our videos and do pretty much all our audio, everything, because I missed that part of it. So I'm like, well, I'm going to do it. And they're always asking me, why 30 seconds? Why 60 seconds? Why 90 seconds? It's like, because that's industry standard. Leave me alone.
Yeah, right. I feel you, man.
I know we were doing a different show, and I brought up one of the characters I did for one of the radio stations, because I actually was one of the people that would go in the radio station, call in, and do this entire thing. And it was about 6 episodes that we would do it. And it was just entertaining. And I figured out very quickly how to unwrap a gift on the radio with not unwrapping a gift.
Right.
And it was just one of those things. There is so much improv in so many things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's an interesting field to be in, for sure, because like what you said, you had to, like, you couldn't be secure. There was no security. That was kind of one of the downfalls. It was like at any moment, like I think every job I lost in radio was because the station was sold out and we just had to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? And it was kind of shitty, because like it was always right when you were getting comfortable. You know what I mean? Like I had a radio station here in Mansfield called Z98, and we were so close at that place, and it was like it was a rock station, but it wasn't in a major city, so it was a little more hometown, grassroots, but it was a rock station, you know. So I'm playing like, you know, Ozzy and Zeppelin and stuff like that, and even newer stuff like, you know, we'd throw in Tool every once in a while, and you know, stuff like that. I mean, it was a good mix, but they sold it out from under us to, of all places, a religious, and that religious channel is still on to this day. And it's just like, yeah, it's just it was a stab, because it was like we were all very close there, and it was like that's kind of when I was like, that's it for me. You know, I got to find something else, and that's actually when I started working for Kurtzman.
Yep. Right. I think I went through like 8 different stations before I landed at TUE in 103.9 in Dayton, and then they sold out from J-Core to Clear Channel, and just kind of Big Rich left. He was the biggest probably radio station promoter in the tri-state area, easy. He left the business, then everybody one by one, they just started changing everybody out, and it was like, well, do you want to stay? And I'm like, I think this is a good time to exit. This is just a good time to dip. I actually ended up getting on tour with the band for a decade and getting into film. So I just I went from behind the radio to singing for 10 years and touring everywhere. So it was kind of similar, but also different.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, since Friday's back, welcome back. Yeah, she disappeared for a bit.
There's my internet's being wonky. Do you have a favorite experience with a patron that's come through your haunt?
With a patron?
A visitor that's come to see the haunt.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question, because I'm not really. I mean, there's things that I've seen that I thought were hysterical, and things I couldn't believe. Like, I can't believe this is actually happening. For instance, a blind lady came in one time, and that threw me off. She walked in. She walked in with her cane and a guide. And of course, we had to stop and be like, "All right, what are we doing here?" You know. And they assured us that, you know, everything was cool, and that she really enjoys the other senses kind of take over when you lose one, and it's same with vision. So she was like, she feels the vibrations. She's really into it. The hearing, and I was like, okay. So we let them go through. Favorite interaction with a patron. You know, I don't really. I mean, it's just there's just situations or things that happen, like that one. This older gentleman had come in one time. I swear to God, he had, and this is early years. He had a oxygen tank, and he was toting that thing along with him. And by God, I was like, listen, if you're good, we're good. But, you know, we got steps, and this is a long haunt. And he was bound and determined, and he went through. And then when we got to a claustrophobia, he just couldn't get through. And we followed him, and I had to basically go up to him, sir, why don't we go around? You know, and I took him there. He tried, man. He was like trying to get in that thing, and it just wasn't going to happen. And probably the other one I can think of right off the bat was we had some Amish people decide they were going to come in one day, and I don't know what they thought we were doing, but I don't think they were expecting what they saw, and that was fun. That was an interesting evening for sure.
And
that's a new thought. I've never thought about come to a haunt.
Yeah, like I literally walked out to the front of house where the steps like lead up to the first part of the haunt, and I was walking into that portion, and I saw these guys, beards, hats, and they were wearing like, you know, just the whole garb, and I looked at them, and I was thinking these are just young guys, like just, you know, being goofy. No, they weren't. They were like, I swear they had to have been in their late 30s, early 40s, and they were very just like, they didn't really say anything. They just kind of looked around, and they, you know, I'm like, what is happening? And they walked through the whole thing, and there was like 4 of them.
That, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I have never had a Amish At country concert, I have plenty of Amishes on Rumspringa, but
there you go. Yeah.
So I'm going to go and pull up a couple more pictures because you just can't get enough of everything. And whoever does your photos, absolutely, hands down, captured so much here. I mean, she just absolutely looks like she's going to haunt your dreams. And I'm really excited because, yes, this is the warden's widow. And I can't tell you if this is last year's outfit or the previous, because I know that she actually has changed her outfit recently.
Yeah, this is last year's. Well, this is the last. She usually goes about 2 years in a costume. So this is the last 2 years. This costume here. The guy who took the picture is Abe Robinson from Blind 7 Photography. If you're looking for, and he does everything. He does video, photos, and he's the sweetest guy you'll ever meet in the world. And he's just an amazing, amazing photographer. But he took this one, and yeah, she does have a new costume this year that I think she debuted a little bit on her Instagram.
Is it the red one?
No, that's actually the red one was one before this one. She's got a new one this year. The headdress is like way bigger. She'll officially debut it at Incarceration this year, but I'm pretty sure she had a photo when she tried it on. She had a photo taken, no makeup or anything, of her wearing the new dress, and it was made by. This one was made by Sven Puss, and the red one was made by Sven Puss. And then the one this year was made by Custom Arts, I believe is what it's called.
So I'm going to go ahead and say this. When you go and you wear a costume like this is not a Spirit Halloween costume. I know she gets fitted for these. I know she works with the tailors. It takes almost a year to design it, and it is thousands of dollars on her costume. I know this because I've really watched her TikToks, and the people that design these things, they put so much effort into it. And recently there was a whole thing of $2,000. I would never pay that. Well, then you're not going for a certain kind of look.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you right now that that picture right there with the guardsman right behind her is absolutely such a great picture. I loved it when you sent me this. I was like, man, this is great. And I will. Next picture is going to be one of the most iconic ones I've seen lately.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right there. She's right in your face. And I love the extension of the fingers. I love it.
Yeah, the fingers. The fingers are getting retired this year. We're actually making new fingers that are more like real fingers. These are Gary Fay Creations.
Yep, from Australia.
Yes, correct. A guy from Australia.
I know him.
And she put these fingers through the ringer. We got our money's worth out of these, and because we do the touch passes, and when those hands are coming at you, people tend to freak out. So I think she's had those 2 or 3 seasons, and it's a little difficult for her sometimes to rough people up with those things on. And we've broken a couple fingers, and so she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to retire them this year. And they're good. I mean, they're good quality fingers. The ones you get on like Amazon are kind of janky and not very good, but the Gary Fay Creation ones, you're going to pay for them for sure, but they're good quality.
And he's got such a waiting list on those things. It's not even funny. Last time I talked to him, he said it was a year and a half out on his orders.
Yeah. It took us a year to get them.
Yeah, just because it's not done all one piece. No, it's piece by piece, and he I think he even measures to make sure that they fit correctly.
Yeah, I mean, she ordered them. I'm not exactly sure. I think she had to measure her hands and do all that stuff. But yeah, they were pretty custom. She liked the ones that she got from him. But Yeah, they are. I mean, they definitely enhance everything because they move beautifully. Like she just barely moves her fingers, and they move.
Right.
Along with your hands, no matter how you do it, they move along with you. So they're really cool, cool props.
And then this is this coming up season, correct?
Yeah, that is our upcoming season flyer. Just little promo that we did for who did we do this? I think we did this for incarceration, but yeah, it's season's coming up, man. It's going to be here before you know it.
Oh, trust me, I can't wait. I'm going to go Midwest Hunters Convention. I'm going to talk to so many people. Hopefully, everybody that walks and talks to me gets these Allight Network so they can come on the show because I want to have them here. And I love going through haunts. There's just not enough time in my world to go through so many haunts. And every single time everybody starts talking about where they're going to go, what are they going to see, it's I'm going to go down to the river or I'm going to go see the haunted blood prison. And I tell them every single time there's so many different haunts here, but yes, that is one of the key ones. And I know that you guys do the music festival. In fact, that was the whole thing. I was just like, I can't believe they do a music festival on top of what they all do. And I got to know, in the summer, how bad is that on the actors being in those costumes?
Yeah, it's
right there.
Yeah,
that answered it.
Yeah, they well, you know what the thing is? It's worse on the ones upstairs in the house because it's no AC or anything. Now the basement's still hot, but that's where all the AC units are in the basement, so it's a little bit cooler down there, and it's in the basement, so it's naturally cooler.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a sweat pit here in July, especially when you have the widow and the two guards. They'll go outside because we have a booth outside where we do promotional stuff for the season. So they're outside and they're in the heat. So I actually had to buy cooling vests for them because it's like they'll overheat out there because that costume.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot going on. So, and she actually has them made so the sleeves will come off. So if you see her at ink, she'll be sleeveless. But the guys, they have, their guard uniforms are, their guard uniforms. So it's like, it's kind of hard to make those sleeveless. So I got the guys cooling vests too, but we put them in the freezer and they put them on and they wear them so that just keep them cool. And then once they, once the ice packs get to normal temperature, they take them off and put them on. But yeah, it's rough. It is rough on them, but they love to come to the event. They love it.
I'll tell you. I know people that really know me know I've done this, but I've never discussed it on here. I actually haunted at a music festival 2 years ago, and I'll tell you what. It was so blooming hot, but at night there was such a severe thunderstorm. Everybody was so afraid, and we didn't even know it was a severe thunderstorm. We seen the lightning, we seen this and that, but here I was in all my gear, just getting saturated and soaked down and this and that, and it was like the best feeling of the world, just because I got a chance to cool down. That's why as soon as I heard that there was one that was operating during the summer, I was just like, man, I know how I felt with my gear, and I know that my gear, I can modify my stuff, but you guys, you guys have a standard. It's got to look basically fit into that prison. So I could only imagine, is the guards' uniforms made of wool or?
Those that they were wearing in those pictures, yeah, they're they are what is it? It was a wool type. I think Dark Stitches is the ones who made those. Or no. Was it Dark Stitches? was them or Dark Creations. It was one of them that made the guard uniforms. But they've actually got new uniforms now. We kind of went Hellboy with them. And now they're like not much better. Leather, So they've got like these long trench coat leather uniforms with the hats. And they're not any cooler in those. Like the one guy was out there, he's like, bro, I can't do this. So we give them breaks and everything in July. Badass, man. They look amazing.
Yeah, they look. I can only imagine. I am so glad it's them, not me. But we've got about 5 minutes before our break, so I'm going to ask you a couple of things real quick. Number one, is there anything that you want to tell us on top of what we've already talked about? And number two, where can we find you?
As far as where to find us, we're on all the platforms, I suppose. Instagram. You can search Blood Prison on Instagram, TikTok. We're on YouTube, Facebook. We even have Twitter page, but we don't do shit on there. I don't know why we still have that, or X or whatever it's called now.
Speaking of TikTok, we do have one video. I think Raz has got it.
Okay.
Oh, I already loaded it. 1 second. I'll bring it up. I thought it loaded. Did it not load?
I don't see it on my end. That's why I said I think you got it.
Weird. Yeah, I loaded it already, and for some reason it didn't go. So just give us a second. It's re-uploading now. I know what it was.
What happens when we're live, right there.
Yep. What happened was I was uploading it, and then I had to pop up to take the call. So I popped out of StreamYard for a second, and I thought it finished, but it did not. It's already almost done. We're good.
So it's Fred's fault.
Yep, it's Fred's fault. I'm blaming Fred.
Yeah, well, technical difficulty.
Yep. Well, the audio was super low on it, so I just ran it through a video editor and cleaned it up and raised the sound level so people could hear it. Because Facebook tends to compress video and audio in really weird ways.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
My name is Jeff. I'm the caretaker in the backyard known as Ralph.
Yeah. Hi, I play the warden's widow.
Hi, I'm Mitchie Colette. I am the West Cell Block Zone Leader, and my character is a soldier in the military.
Woohoo!
Hi, I'm Kenzie. I'm going to be the oldest daughter in the house.
Woohoo!
So right there's one place that you can find them. You can find them on TikTok.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah, that was actually the warden's widow. She does all my TikToks, so because she's got like almost 1 million followers on there. So yeah, it makes sense for her to do it, and she wants to do it, and she likes doing it. And but yeah, you can find us on there, and it's all the other good, and the Blood Prison Shakedown is also on Facebook and Instagram, and our platforms there. You can find us on like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube if you want to watch it.
I'll tell you, I've watched a couple of shakedowns when I have time, and there's so many things I try watching, and now it makes sense why I don't see shakedowns all the time. It's whenever.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously during fall, like you won't see any, but it's
yeah,
it's just too busy. We might make an exception this year. I got some people coming in that we might try to jump in the studio and do a couple, but it's hard. But yeah, it just makes more sense. Like it doesn't make sense to try and do something that is scheduled because there's just so much going on when you're running this kind of an attraction. It's just
right.
It's very time consuming. So this
right.
Hey, we can do it. So we schedule them out the best we can.
But I'll tell you, hopefully I can get up there. I'm planning it. I don't care if I got to hijack someone from Middletown. We might come up for the Christmas.
Yeah. It sounds fun.
The Christmas
show
is fun. It's fun, and it's different. You get a whole different kind of crowd.
Oh yeah, I've found that out, and usually some of the places I go, if I'm not at my home haunt, I will go down to Hell's Dungeon, and that's where everybody sees me walking around with Grandpa, and that's when everybody start recognizing Grandpa more than my character. How odd that is. I mean, you're staring at an urn, and you're like, hey, it's Grandpa.
There you go.
I don't know who the character is, but it's Grandpa. Yeah, don't worry about me, man.
Yeah.
But Vic, it's been an honor having you.
Thanks.
We still got an hour show, just hour left of our show, but Vic is going to take off. And honestly, man, if there's any time that we have openings and you ever want to come in, you are more than welcome to come back in. When I come to see you up at the prison, hopefully me and you can get a picture together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Let me know when you're coming up. We'll make it happen. No problem.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you very much, Vic. And we'll be right back as soon as we try paying some bills here.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Vic.
Nope.
Greetings and shabebans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh. And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
And we're back.
Sorry.
You know what? That sound just makes me feel like we're playing Operation with a computer system. And guess who's not winning?
Me.
So, Vic, that was a wonderful interview, and we are very, very thankful that he could come on for an hour, but we still have an hour in the show, so we're going to do something a little different here. I know I'm gearing up for Midwest Haunters Convention, and we have a Chainers Haunted Secrets that Friday, and we're going to have somebody on the show. I got a feeling that the way we're going to do it is he's going to be sitting right beside me because Kevin's going to be in the same place at the same time, doing the same things. So right now, if you guys have not already figured out, I am Pyle Hazard, and I am a owner of a haunt, and mine is a charity haunt. And we do have Raz, which he has a wonderful title down here. And at this point, I just during the commercials asked if it would be great if Friday wanted to kind of talk to us about our haunts, because we were talking about that a while back a little bit, and I don't think we've really talked about our haunts too much in this show yet.
Not really. You less than me, because I talked a little bit about it from my end when Fred was on, but mostly it was Fred's side.
Right. So Friday, is there any questions you want to ask? Because here's your time to grill us and tell us that we are doing everything incorrectly in the haunt industry.
Yep. We suck.
Actually, from my point of view, I've learned so much with you guys, and I can't see where you guys are doing anything wrong. I have not.
Oh, we always do things wrong. We're just really good at hiding it and learning from it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In the industry, there's a couple of things that almost every haunt can agree on, and it is the dirty word is boo. You don't say boo, you don't say get out. And when you do say get out, it's because the person in that group is one of your haunters that you broke. And I get yelled at Hell's Dungeon when I was a guest actor there. And it was just funny. She comes up, I know you're new at this, but you don't say get out. I said, you don't say boo either. And I said that. And she goes, yeah.
That's how I trained them, and they caught you.
But you can do better. And then she walked away. And I told Raz, I said, dude, your people just flat out told me that I can't joke with my coworkers.
Man, I don't train them that hard. Come on. No, you can say get out, but it's probably because you're security or, admin staff up in the front of house, kicking a customer out. And that's a different story. We also don't say things like, come play with me. The reason why we don't say things like this, like what I teach, is that we don't do open-ended questions, because you get drunks and assholes that say, okay, I'll come play with you. And the next thing you know, a younger actor, like a doll and or something like that type character, is now suddenly alone in the room with like a drunk, 40-year-old guy that's like coming at them. And that creates a safety issue. At our haunt, we have so many like security paths, and that can't possibly even happen really to us. It almost did happen once, but we caught it as it was happening like that. It's a safety thing. Don't say, I'm going to kill you. And this is something that's a little bit unique to the way I train people, I think, because don't promise something you can't readily deliver, because that breaks immersion in like a theater type, like aspect. So, say, you'll see me at home tonight. Things like that. There's a million things you can say other than I'm going to kill you, because they can't prove that you're not going to see them when they get home until after they leave. And then it's okay, because immersion's already gone. They're not in the haunt anymore. So promise future violence. But there's just so many cool things you can do. And say it, instead of saying help me, you can say go get help, because that keeps pushing them through the haunt to the end to let someone know that this victim back here is getting killed and needs some help. So there's all kinds of cool little things like that you can do when you're training actors or as an actor to kind of keep that immersion, but also keep the customers moving.
So funny. Just there's so much to the haunt industry, really. And one of the greatest things of having Jenny or Friday here on the show is absolutely, she is not a haunt actress, but she likes the haunts. She's never worked at a haunt, but she has the opportunity to ask questions that the people that don't go through haunts could ask. And that's why we love having her here. And that's why she's going to grill us. And I just might find some pictures to post on here in a second. But Jenny, which one of us would you like to ask a question of first?
Well, Mariah asked the question before I could finish my question. So do you want to answer hers or would you like to do mine first?
Oh no, who's it after?
Both of you. It's asking what spurred y'all's ideas for the individual haunts and the themes.
You can go first.
Okay, so the idea behind Chainer's Haunted Field is that there was a doomsday that was supposed to happen and it didn't happen, and a different doomsday happened. And how all the actors, actresses, this and that is acting is how they coped with the situation that had been dealt. You go through our haunt, you'll actually see some plastic totes. The wind knocks them over, we put them back in place. These totes had chemicals in them that just, kind of start, the fumes is what made us go kind of insane. There are scenes that get changed every single year. I do not tell my actors, this is what you're going to do. I suggest them to do it in this manner through this area. But I just like doomsdays. I really do. I love the thought process and how people think that they will handle a doomsday. And it could be a doomsday of a meteor comet, radiation, zombie apocalypse, and everybody's going to act totally different. I mean, there are some little Easter eggs, and then you have characters that just seem like, okay, well, how do they get put in place? We had a hunter last year that wasn't a doomsday character. He was more like a person that was a poacher, but he went into the field and the chemicals got him, and now he became a poacher that was poaching humans that were thinking that they were hunting him. So, I mean, ideas can come from anything, and some of the things that we've done throughout the years have worked, and some of the ideas we've had to alter really quickly. There was one scene that one kid wanted to be a magician. Okay. It did not work out, but we altered it very quickly to him pulling a head out of a hat. There you go. You altered it very quickly because it just was not working with him having him be the distraction and somebody come up behind them. And that's everything with the haunt industry. Sometimes your idea is going to be great. Sometimes your idea is going to be terrible, but you don't know how people are going to act until you start doing it. And then it's like, okay, well, how can we modify it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That right there. I summed it all up right there with Raz. Yep.
Yep.
I don't have to say anything else. Yep is what you get.
Yep. That's all you get.
That's I don't know. What about your haunt? Your haunt is totally different.
Yeah. Fred talked a lot about this. He missed a lot of things that I know because I hear him talk a lot about, the haunt. So there's always things that he leaves out. He got into this because of Spirit Halloween. He was there. It was a jumping spider thing. It got him for some reason. It was like a jump scare. He was fucking around with it, and he showed his mom, and she fell in love with it, and just it was like a bonding family thing. And he was getting out of the Air Force and was looking for like what's next. And he hatched this idea that one day he wanted to do a haunt. So when he started building Hell's Dungeon, what he was really wanting to build was multiple haunts in one, But instead of charging you for each individual little haunt like a lot of places did, he wanted to create like its own world. So that's why we've got different sections. You start out in Main Street, you go all the way through to the Bayou, then to the Asylum, then to the Freak Show / Circus, before you make it out, because he wanted to tell a complete story. And that story's been changing over the years. We've been adding to the story. We've been, making it smoother. But the concept basically is there's this main character named Rufus, who he's a demon. He has his own pocket dimension, and you're traveling through the different areas that he's built. Like on his throne, he got lonely. He got bored, so he had been in Main Street. He had a place to go and meet people. Souls that he would drag down there, buy things, shop, whatever, and hang out. And then they needed more food, so they needed the bayou. That was a good source of fishing. Like all kinds of different meat. And then it was, some of these people are going fucking crazy. What am I going to do with them? Oh, they need a doctor. They need an asylum. So there's actually a dentist, a doctor, and an asylum area in there, which is amazing. And then, of course, you need your entertainment. And that's where the freak show and the circus come in. So it's this multi-level world where you feel like you're going through these different little chambers, like into these little portals. You're jumping from place to place. And the haunt total takes, even the minor pathing changes and little add-ons we do add a couple more minutes here and there. Like if you were to really just scroll through when it's open and interact with our characters, about 35 to 40 minutes. I've seen people do it in 25 to 30 that were moving very quickly. I've seen people like me go through when it's open real slow and take like 40, 45 minutes. So it's just this really, all-encompassing place. But more important than the haunt itself is the people behind it, because Fred had this really awesome idea called the Reject Initiative, because he'd gone through a lot, and he talks about his past a lot. He was in a situation where it was military or jail, and he's like, I'll take the military. It changed his life, having that stability. And what he learned through all the other people he met in the military was there were a lot of rejects out there. A lot of people that for some reason or another were told they weren't good enough for some, in some situation, be it their, religious choices, political, sexual orientations. For some reason, you were rejected, and he wanted to build a place that was not one of those companies that say, oh, we're a family, but an actual family. And he knew that no matter what he built, it was going to take a family to run it. And the Reject Initiative is just that. We are a family. We help each other move. We give each other food. Hey, man, you need a shirt. Or in Pyle's case, hey, Raz, you need some shorts? Here you go. But, we help each other. We're there through the tough times, not just when we're open, but all year long. We can call each other. We can hang out. We can do things. We can, we can serve our communities. We do a lot of charity events. And that's what it is for us. This is it. Haunting is not just when new customers come through the haunt for any of us haunts.
No.
We have our build seasons, our special events, our, oh my God, are we going to be able to even open next year because we took a hit this year on, on customers? Like, there's so many things behind the scenes that drive us nuts, and having that family is what keeps us all sane enough to at least continue on. So that's what it's about. It's 50% what our haunt is, the story of our haunt, and 50% of all of us getting together as a family and doing it. And in the 30 years I've been doing this, I've never experienced a haunt running like this one does. On paper, you're looking at it thinking, yeah, there's no way that these guys figured this out. But it's taken us, this is our 5th season, and, Fred's got it. He's got it figured out now. Like, it's, we're always going to have little arguments or little disagreements. We're all, a dysfunctional family. But he knows at the end of the day how to motivate us and how to get us going and how to get us to work together. So,
which that's honestly, I have been at Hell's Dungeon last year, the very first night, and I was at Hell's Dungeon. My crew towards the end, we came in, did the Valentine's Day, also did Christmas, and my crew flat out says that it's so much of a family. It really is. With your crew, I
love you guys
so much, man. Oh, we love you guys too, and that's why
we really do.
Show. But no, it's absolutely one of those things that it is great to have such a family. And that's one of the cases. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to make ours more of a family, and it is really difficult to do the same manner that you guys have done. And
It's
I'm
really
jealous.
hard. I
I'm
think
so
it's
jealous. It's not even
luck.
funny.
I mean, it's just, again, we go through our tough spots. We find some people don't work out, and the people that don't work out in the industry tend to pull themselves out of it at some point in time. For they tend to weed themselves out. But like, it's constant work. It's finding the people that want to step up and help do that work, which is even harder, because you know how it is in any artistic endeavor, but especially haunts. You'll get 20 people say, "Well, I want to step up and do these things," and they'll do it for 2 seconds and drop it. And then it all falls back down to that one person doing 20 jobs, and before you know it, you want to shoot yourself in the face, and you're only 2 weeks in. So it's about knowing where to put the workload and having people that have proven themselves that can do the workload. Man, it's tough.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, Jenny, we're veering off of questions. Go ahead, give us another one here. Or did we lose Jenny here? All right, maybe there's another question in the comments here.
There's not yet.
Oh, okay. And I think she's still frozen. Man, Jenny, you are meditating so seriously.
Hi, am I back?
Oh, there she is. She moved.
Oh shit! Oh, she moved. All of a sudden, your eyes just opened and like you started talking. It was crazy. It was frightening.
Okay. My internet's wonky because so many people are using it here. You guys have such beautiful characters you have come up with, and such great personalities and how you portray them. What was the mindset behind making them?
Number one, you're lying when you talk about Tanner. He's just a damn asshole. He really is.
Both of y'all's characters can be assholes.
He is an equal opportunity. Go screw off. I love my character, but if you actually would sit him in a conversation and ask him questions, he would be kind of like Dr. Raz. He just, he just, you're just a meat bag to him. So things ain't working. That's fine. You're not having a great time. That's fine. Well, I'm not the one that told you to come here. I'm the one that tells you to leave.
Yeah, fuck you, buddy.
That's just my character. So the way that my character started out was at Lockington's Haunted Firehouse, and this one guy puffed up to me, and when he puffed up, he's like, "You think you're something special, huh? Well, let me tell you, you're not." And I looked at him. I was like, "Well, la-di-da, it don't matter." And he goes, "You going to scare me?" No. He goes, "Why not?" I said, "Because I don't even work here." See, I just got out of jail and I found a chainsaw. And guess what? This one still got the blade on. It was dark. He couldn't see nothing. I looked at him. I said, "Guess he's not going to prison." And he goes, "Who?" I said, "You, because you're going to be in pieces. I might go to prison, though, if they catch me." And as soon as I went and he said, "What?" And I took the chainsaw and I dropped it and I went running. I went, I just took off. He went completely through that haunt. First person that actually met my character and said, "I can't tell if this guy is actually legit." And he so he asked, "Hey, is there a guy riding a chainsaw that has glasses?" And the people were like, no, because no one knew that I actually was taking a spot of someone else. No one at the firehouse had a single idea about it. They didn't. And it was okay. So later on, they asked, and I said, yeah, it was me. And they're like, he was so confused. You didn't try scaring him. You did what you did.
That is awesome.
But
for me,
yeah,
I get bored. In 30 years I have played goddamn characters. But I started as Michael Myers. My first year to Haunted Trail was Michael Myers. I did that for a couple of years before I did Leatherface. I had my Insane Clown Posse year. That was my clown year. Everybody should do a clown year, to get the full spectrum of, the acting skills you need to round out if you want to be a floater and do different things. I've kind of done just a little bit of everything, man. And then I got to the dungeon and I created this character. His name was Gravedigger. It was just a random name. I didn't even give him a real name. And based on how I acted with him and how the voice I was doing, Fred and the current and two of the managers that were there only in year one were like, would you be interested in playing Beetlejuice? Because holy fuck, you need to do this. And I think I did Gravedigger for maybe 2 weekends and switched over to Beetlejuice, and it took, and people went nuts. And my Matt from Mats and Monsters was my scene partner, and we did this whole thing where if you wanted to get through, you either had to say my name 3 times or get married to me. And it would start out with Matt doing this jump scare with his shovel, doing this whole thing, get his jump scare and make him laugh, and then I'd slide out of nowhere and start running my mouth. And if they said my name 3 times, we'd just stop, play him through. If they wanted to get married, he would do the ceremony, and I'd marry the person next to me. That first year, I married 2 service dogs, 5 men, 19 women, and just staff members. It was just a funny thing that we did, and it just blew up. And then the year after that, we moved me to the queue line where I actually set up what looked like a model of a graveyard, right down to the fake tombstones. And I'd go it's just a fucking model, and I kick a tombstone halfway across the room. It was really intense. And then we decided that they wanted me to go back to doing an original character, so I created JB Rotten, because I created the real first version of the Freak Show we really had was the version I made, the Elliott Freak Show, and it's still called that. So he was just an asshole.
That's weird. There's 2 Fridays.
Yeah, there's 2. Well, that's creepy. It's like Shining Twins all over again. But yes, I created JB, and he was, a little bit Doomhead from 31, a little bit The Greatest Showman. He was a little bit of everything, and that was my character to blow off steam and just also insult people and just be an insufferable dick. And I took people in the Freak Show that had never done haunt acting before. The whole Freak Show was just me learning a new way to train people, which I now use for everyone, and just kind of threw it together. And then I got multiple promotions to the point where now I run the show half the time, so I didn't really have the chance to be him anymore. So now when I'm in a character, it's back to Beetlejuice, because he's the one that still to this day that people ask a lot about. And I have every line of that fucking movie memorized, lines from the cartoon, lines from the original sequel, Beetlejuice and the Big Kahuna, that was never actually made, but I had the script signed for. And I'm going to have new lines apparently memorized. That new trailer dropped yesterday, by the way. Excited about that. So this year,
I'm hijacking you for that.
This year we're taking it even farther. We're doing the Beetlejuice teeth this year as part of the costume, which we hadn't done before. We're actually doing a full mold, a mouth mold and all that stuff. So we're taking it a lot farther this year because of the movie, and it's going to be a fun thing to do. So I'm looking into getting contacts right now, so I can just be Beetlejuice all the time while I'm doing things, so I can randomly just pop out and fuck with people, because that's kind of what I do anyway.
That's awesome.
We get a lot of people.
My little Beetlejuice so happy.
That was my first year. No, my second year's Beetlejuice that I made that. Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, man.
I want to point out here.
I'm pointing it out.
This show. Oh, that's awesome. This show is not just for the people that like going through haunts. It's not just for the people that design for stuff for haunts. I have a friend, and she lives
liar
in a wheelchair. Oh, that's funny. She lives in a wheelchair, and unfortunately, she can't go to haunts. And number two, she's scared. She tells me, "You find a haunt I could go to? That's cool, but I'm not going to go." She talked to me and tells me that she watches every single episode that we do this because she is so fascinated in why we do this and who does this and this and that. And that's one of the wonderful things is, when we come over to the comments, and I told her, I said, "You got a question, please put it in the comments." And I know that in the comments tonight was a whole bunch of love fest between this Brandon and
me and
Sean and
it's the love triangle. It's a long story.
But if you guys have any questions, absolutely, please bring them up because that is one of the most important things. We want you to bring up the questions. But I sent Jenny. I don't know if it went through or not. Man, I'm having a hard time trying to get these photos.
That's what she said.
I'm having the hardest time trying to get photos sent through anything tonight. So I don't know if Mother Nature is affecting my stuff or whatever. But I am going to make sure that I take plenty of photos at Midwest Haunters Convention. Because if you guys have never been to a Haunters Convention, people want to show their stuff. Yes, you can buy Haunters Convention for Midwest and East Coast. They actually are more of the style of you go there and you see something, you buy it and you grab it. Trans World is more along the lines of you see stuff and this is a way that you can pre-order your stuff. And Wicked Effects is a wonderful, wonderful sponsor of us now.
Yeah, they're a family, man. They're not just a sponsor; they're legit our family.
Yeah, they are absolutely. At Midwest Haunters Convention, you will find them. You will find me. I will be going from their booth over to the Ohio Haunters Association booth, talking to everybody. I want to know everybody. If you guys are going to the Midwest Haunters Convention, please stop me, say hello to me, get a business card because we are trying our hardest to figure out who's going to be on the show after Midwest Haunters Convention. We've got some strings out. Nothing is confirmed. I was told a while back, hey, slow down. And I have slowed down. I've not scheduled anything after Midwest Haunters Convention. But that's the thing. Every haunt has something to talk about. And we might get one of our dear friends on here. His name is Sean, perhaps. I might have to pay him or bribe him. But Sean is a wonderful person. You know what? Maybe we should have Brandon and Sean on the show.
Together, dude, that would be amazing.
Oh my god.
I would love that. That would be fucking yes, we're doing that.
I didn't even think about that until just looking through these comments and realizing that, there has to be some kind of bow chicka wow wow going on there.
We're just a bunch of assholes that fuck with each other all day. That's all. That's what it is.
But that's the thing about haunts. We're also going to schedule some time, and we're going to have a episode called Clowning Around.
Mm-hmm.
This is where my friend will not watch that episode because she does not like clowns. And I would love to have Captain Spaulding on here, but he passed away.
Yeah.
That's
Jenny, did you have a question for us now?
Well, first, I want to read Steven's comments because they need to be said,
Yes.
and I just really like learning about Steven's characters.
Okay.
First, haunting is a year-long thing for people who need that creative outlet like me, and I am happy that he told us about this. Coney became the silent type because it's easier to stab you with a cone than it is to tell you.
And he's right. It definitely.
I based my character on the audience reaction to me, whether it's scary or funny. Dude, I'd love it if you got him on here. I'd like to ask him questions.
Oh, we'll still Steven because Steven does Mats and Monsters with us, and I'm trying to get him to come on more and do fun things with us. So we'll definitely we're talking about some haunt specific shows maybe later on towards haunt season.
Right.
We have plans.
Right.
Later plans.
We're cooking in the lab. But no, so Friday, do you have a question?
Okay, you do an outside haunt, and I have enjoyed outside haunts a lot. But what is like your favorite thing about being in an outside haunt compared to when you're inside haunt?
It's easy. I can run chainsaws and not have people getting mad at me very quickly.
Yeah, I can't.
It's. I know people overplay chainsaws different places, but I'll tell you what. It has become a thing where if you're outside and you think that this is going to be a haunt that isn't scary or, oh, I ain't got to worry about it. If you tweak me off and irritate me before you even go down, you become the target. This was done last year. Last year, we had one girl that said, oh, I'll be fine. I'm not going to be scared. And she started talking herself up. And I finally looked at her. I said, hey. She goes, yeah. I said, you see all the piercings in your face? She goes, yeah. I said, see, the way you put them in is you take it, you put it in there, and then you twist, and it stays in place. And she goes, yeah. I said, when you remove them, you're supposed to take them and twist them and pull them out. I said, it's really easy, right? And she goes, okay. I got a pair of pliers, and I said, that's not the way I'm going to do this for you. I said, you keep on saying, oh, I'll be fine. And you keep on talking yourself up. I do not go down. And she goes, oh, are you scared? I said, if I go down, you're not coming back up.
That's what she said.
And yeah.
I couldn't wait. I could not say it anymore. I waited. I tried not to say it. I did my best. I can't leave that on the table, man.
Well, after she talked such a big game, she was going through, and I went down and I grabbed Rachel. And if you guys don't know, Rachel is the name of my chainsaw. In fact, on the bar, bright green, it says Rachel on this bar. I fired her up and made sure that she was heard. My chainsaw does not sound like anyone else's chainsaw on that grounds. Now, we could have 4 other people running chainsaw, and there is no one that sounds like Rachel. All the volunteers, all the actors, and everybody knows the sound of that chainsaw. And they know how I will rep that thing totally up. And you don't just hear a vroom vroom out of it. No, it is all the way open. So when I got down there, I start calming it down, and you could hear everybody start saying how Chainer was on the field. You don't say Pyle, you don't say this and that, you say Chainer. Chainer is now on the field. That means that everybody's got to pay attention because I'm after something. So I looked at the person in his area and I said, okay, group of 6 coming down. I said, I want this one. And he goes, okay. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this group of 6 and then I'm going to split them. You get 3 and I'll knock them off to the side. You get rid of them. And I'll take this 3. I will knock down one more person, which leaves a group of 2. You take that one person. When you take that one person, get rid of them. And he goes, okay. I said, she's mine. I said, she talked herself up, and now she's going to learn a lesson. And he goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm not going to be happy until she goes flat on the ground. I fired that saw up, did exactly what I told him. And as soon as she seen me going flat out after her, she went down to her knees, and her boyfriend guy, whoever this guy was, said, hey, are you okay? And I stopped the saw. And I said, nope. And I looked at her. I said, which ankle are you going to take home? Because I'm taking the other one. And then she falls backwards and she passed out. Hits the ground. And he goes, hey. I said, you might want to pick her up to take her. And as soon as that was said, I said over the radio, I got one that passed out. She's on her way up. Someone's carrying her. That is everybody that hears that over the radio is now fired up even more that there has been a total chaos moment, and they can't get that point yet. It's not boom, I scared you. Now you're done. It is past the point of trying to scare you and getting into the mind, because once you get in the mind, it's trapped.
Yep.
And that is the greatest thing in the world. How many times have I done this? I could have a sleeve of the names that I have done this to. And the thing is, no one ever sees my character. When he comes out, he's an absolute relentless dick. And I've told everybody, I am great at what I do. And the thing is, when he goes over to Raz's haunt, it's the same character, but he doesn't have Rachel. He doesn't have Rachel. He doesn't have the Olsen twins. He ain't got none of the happy things. He doesn't have Donkey. He doesn't have Jeffrey, because it is inside and I obey by his rules. So that was when Grandpa was created. And Grandpa, there's a lot of Grandpa on the floor. So yeah, but that's mine.
Stephen says his first major haunt he worked at was an outside haunt and had a freaking blast. I did have to control my volume. I didn't have to control my volume, and I could do a lot more with a lot more room.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Big time.
Raz, compared to the multi-haunt setup and other haunts you've worked at, which one has been like the most, had some of the most fun nights?
Damn, dude.
That's a good question. Gee.
The two haunts that immediately spring to mind are Hell's Dungeon and the haunt I started at, which was the Chambersburg Haunted Trails in Heber Heights, which was an outdoor. It was a trail. I worked on I worked in a lot of different indoor and outdoor scenarios, but like those two are the best. Just the people, the environments were great and they're different. Mm-hmm. What I liked about working outside was that I didn't get so fucking hot. If I did, I could just peel my mask up or whatever. If I had the makeup on when I did the clown, I could just, have a little fan out there, something like that. It didn't really get that hot out there. And it was all the running around we did because, when I did Michael Myers, with our security trails, I could see the same group of people 5 or 6 times. Michael Myers would suddenly just be standing there, and you could tell it was me. You could tell it was the same one, and it would fuck with people bad. But in terms of the freedom and the being able to know how far I can take things and just the level of sheer creativity and involvement, I got to go with Hell's Dungeon. Not just because I work there currently, man. If there was a better one, I'd tell you. I really would be honest about it. But we get away with a lot of shit there. in build season and open season. Like and we all know each other so well. We're not afraid to fuck with each other. Even if you're brand new and you come in, we're going to fuck with you, but in a good, healthy, fun way, like character way. But we just let loose, man. We know our boundaries. We ride right up to that line. I have a running tally on how many fucks I'm allowed to give each night in character. Like how many times I'm allowed to say fuck or some other word. And I think I'm one of the only people at the haunt that's allowed to get more vulgar, because I'm not going to say fuck every 5 seconds in a sentence. Although I did go over my quota a lot with JB, honestly. Quite a bit more than I should have. But yeah, it's not that it's no hold bars, but it does feel like the Wild West of haunts sometimes, but in a good way.
Your haunt last year, I picked up one of my friends, didn't say nothing, just grabbed her, flung her over my shoulder, and went running out the door.
Yep.
And people were like, "What?" And her group played it. That was our friend.
It was.
And she had, and that's the thing. We have great times. I mean, I cannot say that I've ever hated a place that I've worked at being a haunter. I can say that there were circumstances that led me to go one way or another with different situations or different times.
Sure.
And if things were a little different, I might not created chainers, because I was still been at Sydney.
Mm.
And I'm never going to dog on Sydney, because honestly, they've been running for many years, and I put in 8 years there, and I was getting ready to take over so much of an area. It would have been stupid,
right?
But something led me to take myself out of Sydney, and I took one year away from Sydney and went to one that they really kind of needed some help. And I said, okay, if you donate charity money to this, I will do that. And then the next year they shut down and Chainers opened.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking awesome.
That is awesome. Favorite scare experience? Whether it's to you or you have done.
I would say Golden Toilet Awards. If y'all don't know, I'm going to right here. This is the difference between someone that has haunted and someone that has not haunted, but they've went through. If I say a Golden Toilet Award, they may think, well, I don't understand. That is flat out when you scared somebody so flipping bad that the code yellow met the code brown at the exact same time. And what did I do when that happened? I smiled and told them proceed, because the next part was a maze that you had to walk through. Or no, you had to crawl through. And he said, can I please leave? I said, once you go through the maze. I'm not shameful of that. And that was Lockington's Haunted Firehouse. They do not exist anymore. If they still did, I probably would still be with them. But no, I kid you not. I scared somebody so bad that a golden toilet was awarded to me, and I made him go through. And then somebody came flying around the corner like a half hour later. Who in the hell told the guy to go through? Me. He goes, you could have broke open the snow fence. I said, he said he paid all this money, and I was going to make sure he enjoyed his time. His friends didn't get the memo, and they were crawling behind him. I made him go first. Do I apologize? No.
Fuck no. It was worth it. I've definitely had some fun ones, I'd say. I've had some fun ones over the years, man. Like, it's hard because, like, when you've been doing it for 30 years, like, sometimes it's hard to remember, like, what your best ones really were, like, which things, like, just kind of stood off and took off. Obviously, I remember, more recent stuff, I guess, better. I do remember, though, I have two. My first year as Michael Myers, like I said, I could see people 5 or 6 times. Well, one of the little quick scenes that was mine that I could jump into was a little hospital scene out in the middle of the woods. It had strobe lights, it had a hospital bed and like a little hospital thing. It's the little thing you walk through real quick. It was like a 1-person scene. And it was one of the ones that I would always go in and fill out. And I would know when they were coming. I would get to the table like seconds before they did. I would dive on this table and lay there like I was dead as Michael Myers. And I'm talking like not just the mask, but I had the boots. I had the full mechanic's outfit. I mean, like, everything. I even had the thorn tattoo from Curse of Michael Myers Part 6 on my forearm and everything. Like, I went nuts for this shit. And this guy comes through and all he sees is my boots. He's like, "Is that Michael Myers again? This is like the fucking 5th time. What the fuck?" He's like, "I swear to God, I'm gonna shit myself if it is." He comes around this corner and he's got his daughters with him. Like, he's like one of these tough guys, like all tattooed, like, talking shit. And like, but he would like pay me respect every time, the other times he'd seen me, because he just couldn't believe that he'd seen you that many times. So he comes around and I wait until him and his kids are halfway through the scene and I just sit up. That's it. I just sit up. But I had learned to move with the strobe light. So I moved between the flash. So, and it was a medium speed, but it was like suddenly I was just there. And between that and 2 flashes later, I was standing. And then another flash, and I was half the distance closed between me and them. And the way I did it, he stood there and he just shrieked and pissed himself and actually also shit himself, and he just stood there shaking. And I didn't touch him. I stayed about 3 or 4 feet away from him and just stood there. I did not stay where I just stood there and watched. His kids started crying and freaking out. And finally, he like snaps at me. He's like, "Dude." And he looks down and like you could just see and smell what was happening all around down there. And he's like, "I don't know how you did what you did tonight, but holy fuck." And then just pale as fuck, he walks out of the trail. And this was like halfway through the night. So when we're done, like 2 or 3 hours later, I come back and that guy is there in the parking lot and wanted to meet me. And this was a time when no one knew who I was. Like the main staff that ran the place and a couple of my friends knew it was me, but I'd have my mom drop me off like way down the street and I'd walk in and then I'd have her pick me up at the same spot later. Even though my brother and sister and her also worked there, because I wanted to be Michael Myers for the cast and crew because I'd fuck with them. And he was waiting there and demanded to meet me. And then the owner was like, "Hey, I know you don't like to break this, but I don't know if this guy's upset or if, he wants to congratulate you or something." He's like, "But don't worry, I'm going to be there because he's a big guy." The dad was big, but the owner was also a big guy. So I was like, "Okay, yeah," and I'm 13. I had just turned 13 a couple months prior to this. And I got in the parking lot. I'm shaking like a leaf. I still have the whole thing on, and I get back in there. And he grins real big. And we go off to the way far out into the parking lot because he's explained to the guy that I won't break character unless we're out of sight. So we go way to the other side by the woods on the other side. He pulls his truck over so I can kind of stand around it, and I take it off. He's like, and he just grinned. He's like, "You made me piss and shit myself. I have gotten permission for this. They weren't supposed to tell you." He gave me a $100 bill. He literally went to Walmart and got a change of clothes and went to an ATM and came back and handed me a $100 bill. And I looked at the owner. He's like, no, you take this. He's like, "I just want you to know I've been in the haunt industry for a while. I work in film. I do a lot with horror. I've never seen anyone move like that before, and no one in the history of haunts has ever even made me do one of those things, let alone both. And I just want you to know how amazing you are." And so my name went up on the board. I got another notch on the board for the pissing and shitting. So some haunts today still have those boards, but that was the one, like, for it to happen my first year is I knew this was me. This was my thing. And then as JB, we had these people walking through just tripping on acid, and me and Jess, who's on the show sometimes, my prior ex retired now bearded lady, we both at the same time, we had this thing where we could communicate with just looks and hand gestures. Like after a while, we didn't even have to speak about what we were going to do. It was just click. Then it would just happen. And so we started doing the whole boxing people in when they're tripping, which if you've not experienced that, it really fucks your head up. We started doing it to all four of them. And then we'd switch positions where I was in the front, she was behind. And then we were both together, just totally boxing them and not letting them go forward. And they all started crying, and they were grown-ass people. Like, it was two couples. And one of the guys, the biggest badass looking one, who he was bigger than me. He was well bigger than me. Drops to the ground crying and starts praying to me. And then they all just sat on the ground and just not sat, they kneeled on the ground and just waited. And then we gave them permission to go and told them to get the fuck out of the freak show. Next time to come back and share. And they had been loud and boisterous and causing problems before they got to us. But the freak show that year, we were like the coolers for the rest of the haunt. Like once you got there, and if you were an asshole, we already knew about it. And we calmed you the fuck down and put you in your place before we let you go on. And they were apparently calm and polite and like nervous the whole rest of the haunt. They barely even made it out. I would say those are my two favorite moments. So there's many. I have a ton with Matt. Like one time he accidentally hit me in the head with a shovel, gave me a concussion, and he also hit Fred within that a week later with that same shovel. So that's why Matt's not allowed to have actual real props or especially shovels.
So before we end tonight, I want to show you one of my favorite pictures. We were trying to get some pictures together at our haunt, and right there is a picture of my dad and my son, and he is now 16, and he still likes going out, even though some people in his family believe that this is just a joke thing.
Yeah.
But we took that picture and we turned it in to kind of a black and white picture, and it took off. I mean, it was such a great picture. My dad has done so many wonderful things, and last year he suffered with a knee that was going to get replaced, and he told the doctor, I am not going to stop and not do this. So that surgery is going to have to wait. So he got the surgery. He's doing a lot better. But I just wanted to point out, and I've got pictures of my young daughter that's learning how to scare. So I'm going to be very honest. If you want to start young, there are some places that, your friends, your family members, this and that, will accept you. Just know where you're going and know who you're with is one of the biggest parts. Don't just say, oh, I can go into any haunt. Any haunt might be, it's not necessarily the haunt as much as the people that's in the haunt. So always be cautious and always try starting being in a haunt with your friends. And that's one of the biggest things. You hear a haunt or a friend, hey, I do this. Go out, give it a try. And that's one of the biggest things that this industry wants to try to accept everybody, but they cannot accept everybody if people don't try to accept them.
That's true.
I mean, that's like I said, I got plenty of photos. That one uploaded after me trying to do a whole bunch of Midwest. But we are officially coming to the end of our show tonight. And I would like to thank everybody. Vic, I know you're not on here anymore, but Vic, thank you very much for coming. Raz, always a pleasure having you. Jenny, you're just an absolute treat in not knowing too much about the industry, but you're learning a lot. And one of these days, maybe perhaps that will change. The last person we had on this show is Troy. And Troy does a lot with the Texas Haunters Convention. Maybe perhaps one of these times I will make it down there. And if I do, I'm hijacking you, Jenny, and we're going to go and explore this together because the haunt industry is so big. It's so wonderful.
It is.
But,
it's home.
So, yeah, it is home. It is home to a lot of people. So, I'm going to ask you, Raz, where can we find you? And I'm sorry, my mom is currently out of pancake mix.
Oh, there's always another mom and another pancake mix.
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm an equal opportunity kind of guy. You can find me at raztslasher.com. You can find me in all social medias pretty much, where the #1 Raz cosplayer in the world, Jenny, handles most of those things. So you're probably talking to her. You won't know the difference, but we will, and we'll laugh at you when you're not paying attention. Again, your mother's house tomorrow morning, all of your mom's houses. I can teleport and make copies of myself because that's how much I like pancakes. I'm surprised no one's gotten the pancake thing yet, but that's okay. It's all about the syrup, you know.
I asked about the grape thing.
Have trouble will travel, you know. I feel like I got to be equal opportunity, like I said.
I feel like you're there for the icing.
No, it's the syrup, baby. It's really the syrup. The pancakes are just there. You can also find me tomorrow along with Jenny and some other amazing people. And I'm going to let actually Jenny talk about that specifically. And because we have a couple of anthology things happening and Jenny's got your back talking about those. But that's about it, man. Just find me on a bunch of different shows and kicking around and, doing cool shit with cool people.
Jenny, we're not going to ask you where we can find you. I think it would be easier to ask, where can we not find you? Because you are everywhere.
X.
What?
X.
Text.
I'm not doing X anymore, Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, X. Okay. Boy, I was so confused here. Anyway, so where would you like people to search and find you other than Twitter, which you got ironically a whole bunch of birds behind you. That's those mean tweets.
This is an epic cemetery where they caught this beautiful flock of birds over it. And it was just one of the most beautiful pictures I had ever seen. And I'd shared the article like 3 or 4 times. And then I just put it as my background because this is beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
So, back to the wonderful question.
Well, I'm not there. I'm in a closet in Texas, hiding. They want to steal my Lucky Charms.
Magically
They're
delicious.
magically delicious.
Beat you.
But yeah, today, Faye Propaganda dropped. We officially have a published anthology where Raz, Ron, me, Patty, and a whole bunch of other amazing authors have put stories and poems and pictures of the Fae. And I have enjoyed all of their stories. And tomorrow, and the reasons tomorrow is because this show was important. We needed to talk to Vic. But tomorrow will be a release party. People will be talking about their ideas behind their stories. There'll be some readings. There'll be some author chat about different things that I never think of that happen. On the 4th, we have an anthology coming out, and I'll figure out when we're having that release party when we're getting to there. But
yes,
it's an Owlite anthology with so many amazing people.
I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited about all the things.
I am too.
I think that is totally awesome that you guys got together. I do feel like we need to find a Selma. So if your name is Selma, we need you to come and hang out with Patty.
It's oddly specific. Oh, okay, I get it. I get it now. Okay. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, I see where you're going with this.
I'm a Simpsons fan. I'm sorry.
Oh, me too. It just took me a minute to like figure out. But then you said Patty right after. And I'm like, oh yeah.
So absolutely.
I love horror so much and haunt so much that everybody knows. I'm betting you'll know these names. Raz kept saying, we named our kid Dante Michael because two wonderful characters.
Agreed.
Well, I know that tomorrow I have to go to work, so we're going to end this show. But we want everybody to start thinking and do us a favor.
Get your shit together.
Email us. Yeah, get that together first.
Get your shit together.
Do us a favor. Facebook us, send us a message, this and that. As we get closer to August and September, what haunts are you thinking about going to?
The one I work for.
No, you're going to get hijacked, and you're going to go to a couple different ones before you open.
I'll definitely be going to Dent, and I'll be going to Face Your Fears. We do those every year. Sadly, not Carnage this year.
Yeah.
But those are at least two I know I'm going to be doing. Oh, and I usually go to because they're open on Thursdays. There's another one in Columbus I'll end up going to again. So.
But anyway, we want to hear what haunts you're going to. We want to hear what you liked about the haunts. If you're an actor or you're an owner or you're a person, and yes, I got a feeling that Scott is going to come and be on the show one day. But I'm trying to bypass that one as much as possible because you just can't you just can't bring in the Froggy Fog right off the bat, man.
You got to build up to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very excited to see what we get into. Like I said, the next show, I am so super excited because I will be in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still working out exactly how we're doing this show.
Magic.
So yeah, magic. Without the gathering. So just let us know what you guys want to hear on these shows. All right. This is Pyle, and thank you very much for watching. Go out, go see a great haunt. They're not just in October. Bye, guys.
Later.